Explain to me why this game is 14-9 in the mid-third quarter.
There were key moments where I thought Ryan Day went back to his old self a little bit, where he'll second guess himself. He's not as aggressive when he should be, and he pays for it.
Ryan Day versus evil Ryan Day, if you will. I don't know who's going to win that one.
Better than that.
The beard dye, probably. This is the Rivalry Podcast. My name is Jace. That's JP.
What up?
It's a Michigan-Ohio State college football podcast, first of its kind from River Radio Ministries, presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. And boy, well, first of all, what an amazing weekend of college football.
It really was.
Just across the board, phenomenal games. Georgia, Tennessee was a classic. Texas, Notre Dame. I fell asleep on the couch and woke back up for the end of it.
I have a confession for you with that game. When Notre Dame went up and scored the touchdown with like 2 minutes to go, I went to sleep. I fell asleep.
You thought it was over?
I thought it was over, and I was already laying in bed watching it, which is dangerous for me.
You shouldn't do that.
And so I saw that happen, didn't see the missed extra point. I saw them score, and I thought, well, that'll do it. Yeah. And then I just naturally fell asleep, and I woke up, and boy, did I miss a game.
So, you know, occasionally when you're watching a football game, I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but like it's kind of I'm not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious thing, right? And because this is from a ministry, that's a joke, but also it's sports, so it's definitely not. But I got like this weird premonition when they went to kick the extra point. I got I got this weird premonition that he was going to miss it. And I was like, well, that's weird. And then sure enough, he bobbles the snap. And I went, what? Do I have a gift?
Yeah.
No, the gift was Tyler Buckner coming back to Notre Dame, if you're an Aggie fan, I suppose. Yeah, fantastic weekend of college football. We will get to Ohio State, Ohio, of course. We'll talk about Michigan and Central. We'll talk about Michigan, Nebraska. We've got some stupid genius on the way. But first, a wheel route icebreaker question. If you are not on social media, you should be. Actually, you probably shouldn't be. But if you are on social media, at RivalPod, rivalpod.com as well, and you can be watching on YouTube.
Oh, man.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening or watching right now.
You know that this one, you know my thoughts.
Wheel route question today. Should a 10-2 Notre Dame make the college football playoff? Is this should make, will make, or?
It should. Because if they're 10-2, I have thoughts on whether or not.
Should a 10-2 Notre Dame team make the college? You want me to go or you want to go?
You go.
Okay, you wrote this. No, of course they shouldn't make the college football playoff. And this really has less to do with, although I believe it, less to do with the fact that we don't need a 12-team college football playoff. We have one, whether I like it or not. Mm-hmm. There is no way you can convince me. Now, you could convince. Let me put it this way. There are a couple teams that if they had started off 0-2, I would answer this question differently, because you could look down their schedule and say, well, and this will not happen, but you could look at Alabama, who is not going to the college football playoff, but you could look at Alabama and go, well, based on their schedule, and you could say that right now for that matter at 2-1, based on their schedule, they have the opportunity for some high quality, big profile wins that will earn them back their way in.
LSU's another one that I would throw in that category, or just a gauntlet.
You could, let's say LSU had lost to Florida and had lost to Clemson, and was 1-2 right now or whatever. They could still get their way in. Why? Because look at who they play later in the year. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame does not have that luxury. Notre Dame played Miami, lost. Notre Dame just played Texas A&M and lost. Those are their two best games on the schedule.
By far.
They play USC later in the year.
Mm-hmm. Currently number 25.
So so is USC potentially their best win if they pull it out? Maybe. It's a lot of words to say no, because they just don't have the schedule. You don't play in a conference, so there's no conference championship there. You will play 10 more football games. None of them, unless somebody comes out of nowhere like a USC and jumps into the top 10 or something, none of them are going to be high profile games. The game against Boise State, that was like, well, maybe that's
preseason hyped up.
It'll be a good game, but that's not going to have the same impact it had 3 weeks ago. Going to Arkansas, listen, Call them hogs, man. Call them hogs, man.
Whooping.
If you're new to the podcast, my in-laws are from the Fayetteville area. So my wife's from the Fayetteville area. Big Arkansas fans, love the Hogs, but like that's not going to be a high profile game that's going to earn their way back in. Now, will the committee find a way to try to shoehorn Notre Dame in? Probably. But there's absolutely no way that you can convince me, unless someone comes out of the woodwork, that Notre Dame's going to have enough quality wins to offset the only 2 big games on their schedule that they lost.
You know, I already agree with every single thing you just said. I have been very adamant for years now that Notre Dame is a fraud program. I will continue to stand by that statement. And I view them in the same category right now as Penn State. A lot of talent, a lot of hype, always underperform. Every single big game, they always somehow crumble. And it just seems to be the way things go.
Now, to be fair, you said this during last year's college football playoff, and they ran all the way to the title.
But they played nobody. Both of them played nobody. Their opening game was against Indiana, who is also a fraudulent program. And then they played Boise, who we all know was not going to go far.
See, we've done this podcast long enough. I know that that's all I have to say, and it'll just get...
Oh, it just riles me up because everybody every single year talks about, oh, Notre Dame, oh, Penn State. They have done nothing. They've not proven it when it needs to be proven. And so for me, they shouldn't get in, but I'm in the same boat as you. I think if they go 10-2, the committee will find some way to sneak them in, much like in Ohio State last year, where... To Ohio State's credit, they had some key wins on that.
Ohio State belonged in the playoff, but I think had too high of a seed. Yeah.
If they played a schedule like they did, like Notre Dame's doing this year, I would have been angry, obviously, being the Ohio State fan.
Yeah.
But I would have understood being left out in that sense. But Notre Dame, I mean, their toughest game right now is USC.
Yeah,
and USC's a good team.
Maybe though. Like
Maybe.
I think USC is a good team.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're ranked number 25 in the nation. Will they stay there?
If I'm Michigan looking to into early mid-October, like I'm very concerned about going to USC. Notre Dame gets that game at home.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame plays Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, North Carolina State, USC, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. There's not enough in there. No. Even if they won all of those, there's not enough in there to convince me that they deserve a shot here.
And here's my hot take. I don't think that they're going to finish 10-2. I think they lose another one, if not maybe 2.
I think that they have got to be very careful. And again, I'm not just trying to win brownie points with the in-laws, but I do think that trip to Arkansas, they better be careful. Mm-hmm. Arkansas, no, it's not beating Arkansas on the road. It's not going to win them back in the national spotlight. That's a sneaky good football team. Mm-hmm. Arkansas is a team you don't want to mess around with this year. So yeah, Notre Dame, no, they should not be in the college football playoff. Speaking of teams that also won't be in the college football playoff, how about Ohio?
They sure won't. They sure won't.
So talk to me though. Talk to me, because here's what I'll say. I have thoughts obviously about Ohio State beating Ohio in that game. Explain to me why this game is 14-9 in the mid third quarter. Because I think from a rival fan perspective, and I know what you're going to say to this, but from a rival fan perspective who maybe watched part of the game or turned the game on and went, I'm sorry, what? Like, explain to me why we're sitting at 14 besides the botched extra point. An omen of things to come for some teams. This game is 14-9 mid third quarter. Why?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just simply comes down to execution. I mean, if you watched that game, seriously watched it. You're not just box score watching like we preach on all the time.
And by the way, I did have that game on instead of Notre Dame and
that's fair. I would also
it's a hate watch.
Had the role been reversed, I would be watching
Absolutely.
Michigan. Hate watch for sure. Ohio State was in clear control the entire game, despite what the score was of 14-9. Ohio State did not punt the entire game. And you're looking at this going, okay, it was 14-9. Ohio State didn't punt. They had 2 turnovers. Well, I guess they had a turnover on downs. Turnover on downs on the opening drive, and then they had 2 interceptions, which some people were saying, oh, those were just unlucky. They were just bad throws. One was because Julian Sainz a little bit on the shorter side. It got tipped at the line. those happen on occasion. I'm not going to sit there and harp on that.
Yeah, the tipped ball one doesn't bother me as much.
The tipped ball one doesn't bother me as much.
The other pick was bad.
Yeah, the other pick was just flat out bad. To me, it just came down to execution. If you watched that game, you saw Ohio State was in clear control. I looked at the final stats afterwards because even on the defensive side of things, you thought, man, Ohio, granted, Parker Navarro was out for a little bit. You watch this Ohio offense, and you're like, they're doing nothing.
Yeah.
Then they come out to start the third, and they have a 67-yard pass where I genuinely was watching us try to tackle that guy and was shamed.
Was that Lorenzo Styles?
It was Lorenzo Styles that just...
lunch money taken, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where it's like, man, how are you not bringing this guy down? Like, he wasn't running. It's not like he had a burst of speed. It was like Lorenzo Styles was dragging onto him basically the whole way.
Yeah.
Besides that 67-yard pass, Ohio had 114 yards total. So you look at this and you go, well, it was 14-9. If you watch the game, it wasn't close. Ohio State was consistently in the red zone. And this is the thing that I took away was... other than the obvious, you've got to execute better in the red zone. There were key moments where I thought Ryan Day went back to his old self a little bit, where we have harped on it. If you've ever listened to this podcast prior, if not, you can fact check me. We talked about it before last year, before the tide really kind of turned with that team, that Ryan Day consistently gets in his own way at times, where he'll second guess himself. He's not as aggressive when he should be, and he pays for it. This was a classic example of that for me. They got to the red zone, and this is going to sound a little bit cocky, but you're Ohio State, and you're playing Ohio.
Well, that's not cocky, though. You're Ohio State playing a MAC team in your building.
It is 4th and 2. You have a very good offensive line. You have a man named Bo Jackson who, as much as the coaching staff wants to say, well, he's not running back one, it's going to be split carries between the three.
Fine by me.
We have eyes. We have seen what Bo Jackson can do numerous times. There is no excuse that he shouldn't be running back one. That's a whole nother topic. But I'm watching this and I'm going, okay, it's 4th and 2. You have the best wide receivers in the nation. You have one of the best offensive lines in the nation. You're clearly the more talented team. Go out there, show some aggressiveness, punch it in. You know that you're talented enough to where if you don't get that, field goals aren't going to be the difference maker.
Yeah.
And so why not? Like the very first time they went for it and didn't get it, I thought the play calling was a little bit sus on that. Then you go back and they get down there again, and I thought you should have went for it a second time. They end up kicking the field goal. There were just little things like that where I thought, man, you're playing Ohio. I'd love to see a little bit more aggressiveness there. The red zone execution obviously needs to be better. You can't have those. You can't make that many trips down there and not walk away with 6. It just can't happen. When you get into the games against Penn State where the opportunities to be in the red zone are going to be way more limited than they were against the Bobcats, you got to be able to get a touchdown out of those.
Two of 6 red zone attempts for touchdowns, 3 field goals, and 1 turnover on downs. I agree. I think that's you can pick the box score and you can do a couple different things with it, because I don't disagree with you. Ohio, I wouldn't say that they were never in this game because it was 14-9 in the middle of the third quarter. But Ohio State was also never in danger of losing this game. I'll put it that way.
Even with it being 14-9, there was never a point where I sat there and went, "Oh no." I feel like
after the long touchdown, there was a bit of a collective "oh no," but I don't think you were ever in danger of losing the game.
I thought it was an ugly play. I thought there were a handful of plays, and this is giving credit to Ohio. There were some really good defensive plays that they had that helped stop. There was one in particular which I'll use in my case against why CJ Donaldson should not touch the ball in the backfield ever again, and that is because it was like, I don't remember the down, but they were near the red zone.
Yep.
They were like 3 or 4 yards from getting it in, and instead of lowering his helmet and just barreling his way through, he goes up and he just gets absolutely sauced and just thrown.
It was a great tackle.
It was a grown man tackle.
Yeah.
And I don't play football, if you can't tell. I'm not the athletic type. I just like to watch it and tell other people how to do it.
I'm here to play school.
I wasn't even there to do that. But you go in, and I even know that if you're a running back that close, you tuck the ball and you just barrel your way through.
And again, you're Ohio Ohio State.
And you're Ohio State. And he goes up there and he's basically standing up, which is why the defender was able to go and get low on him. They always say you got to be the lower person. The lower man wins.
Yep.
And CJ Donaldson just got picked up and slammed to the ground, immediately stopped. That should have been a surefire touchdown to me.
Yep.
Any other running back barrels your way through. You get maybe a couple of yards. Even if you don't get in the end zone, it's 4th and 1 in inches, and you continue to push your way in. And so I look at stuff like that where I go, man, I just wonder how long it's going to be before Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, this coaching staff takes a look at that running back room. And Peoples and Donaldson, stat-wise, had decent games. But I tweeted it. If you want to follow us on Twitter at RivalPod, I tweeted this out. There's an eye test with it where you watch these running backs compete and you see Donaldson and you see Peoples and then you see a guy named Bo Jackson get in there, and the electricity that goes into that backfield, his agility to get up and burst through the hole, just his vision is clear as day. Yeah, he reminds me slightly of Travion Henderson when he first started out. He's not quite as polished yet, but you saw that with Trey when he first started out. His very first game, he had like 2 touchdowns against Minnesota that were just electric runs. Yeah. And I looked back, and that's what it reminded me of. And I thought, you might get a consistency out of a Donaldson or a Peoples. You might get 100 yards on 20 carries, but Bo Jackson, if you give him 20 carries, you might get a $150, a $160.
Yeah. Consistency is only good if you're consistently executing well.
Yeah.
And I said, again, sometimes I know ball. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I know ball. And I told you in the offseason, or I guess preseason, if you want to look at it that way, I told you in the preseason, I have strong concerns about Ohio State's running back room. CJ Donaldson, James Peoples are just guys. Bo Jackson looks like he could be a dude, right? If you want to borrow the MGO blog verbiage there. CJ Donaldson ain't scaring nobody.
Nope.
James Peoples ain't scaring nobody. And again, in some ways, it's too early to say, well, Bo Jackson's scaring people because of the way he's played against Ohio. But if I'm Ohio State, I'm looking at it going, that guy, at the very least, that guy needs more carries.
And I think right now,
even if it's just that, because again, if I'm looking at it from the Michigan perspective in November, I'm going, okay, so Travion and Quinshon couldn't run on us. These fools aren't going to run on us either.
Well, and I think to add to your point, I wouldn't necessarily say people are scared of Bo Jackson, but I think right now nobody's really game planning for a Donaldson Peoples back.
No. The run game
running
is
back.
Nobody's. If the run game's not respected.
No, and I think if they went ahead and they made that switch officially, people are going to start game planning to stop a Bo Jackson.
Sure,
not that they're like he's going to be the one that kills us and all that. I don't think it's to that degree yet, but I definitely think right now going into they don't play this next weekend, but when they go to Washington, if Bo Jackson's running back 1 on the depth chart, Washington's defensive coordinator is going to go, okay, we've got to key in on this guy a little bit more than the other two.
Because right now, defense is understandably so. And Ohio State and Michigan have differing, except for sometimes the last Saturday in November, differing philosophies on how the offense runs. At least traditionally. And again, sometimes I think it's overblown that Michigan only ever, is built on just running the football. Sometimes, that's true, but sometimes that's overblown. Just like Ohio State's they sling it around the yard. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's overblown. But they have different philosophies there. And so when you play Ohio State, you are focused on, understandably so, Jeremiah Smith, right? Carnell Tate, Max Clare to an extent. But, you're focused on the pass game. Ohio State's strength can be when you have Travion and Quinshon, again, outside of a certain Saturday in November, you can also hand it off to them. And now teams have to account for that. And now it makes it harder to zero in on just the receiving core. So far this year, now the competition outside of Texas has not really had an opportunity to do much with it, right? Grambling and Ohio aren't going to stop anybody. But it allows teams right now looking at Washington to go, well, right now, yes, we obviously have to stop the ground game. That's never going to go away because it opens everything else up. But right now, there's not a respect for the run game of Ohio State, nor should there be at this point. And it allows your defense to focus more on covering Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate or whoever. So for Ohio State, they are going to have to find a way to get the run game going because you just cannot win big games and win titles and win championships without a functional run game. And right now, even despite again, Texas obviously, but the last couple weeks, the lack of competition, I've looked at and kind of yawned and went,
Yeah,
that's not good. That's not a good sign. There's plenty if you're Ohio State, and again, as the Michigan guy, there's obviously plenty you can like from what you're seeing from Ohio State. But that is a concern. It was a concern in the preseason, and now that you're seeing it on film on game day, it remains to be a concern. Give me the bye week 37-24.
Yeah, right. I do think the reaction to this game is a little bit overblown because it was still almost a 30-point victory. So it's hard to be crazy nitpicky, especially when Ohio State was as dominant. I actually think not this week, obviously, since they're off, but the week at Washington will really tell you a lot about this running back room. That's the game that I've got circled where you got to have them step up.
It will tell you a lot about this football team overall as well. Just because one, in preseason, and I remain so, I was very high on Washington in the preseason, and I told you, and you mocked me, which is what you do on this podcast, that you better highlight this game because I think Washington might beat you.
No,
I think Washington may pull off the upset. Now, I'm not making that pick right now, but that's just what I said in the preseason, is that this game is a trap game. Nobody's talking about going to Seattle. We'll get to that next week. But you'll learn a lot about Ohio State. If you're a fan, you'll learn a lot about this running back room. You'll learn a lot about this team. Going to Washington, first road game for Ohio State. And also, you're kind of, not to be so much of a rival that takes away from the Texas win, but are we not, just as a sidebar here, are we not all kind of looking at Texas right now, scratching our heads a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Does UTEP have an elite defense also, at least for half of football?
Who knows? Who's to say?
Arch Manning looks rough, man.
I saw people on Twitter apologizing to Quinn Ewers, and I thought, man, things are bad. You're down bad.
I'm not saying that Texas still doesn't have all its goals in front of them, or they still might not win a national title, but I'm telling you that I watched the Ohio State game, obviously, and I went, and I think I even said, it wasn't to take anything away from the defense, but it felt like sloppy offenses more than elite defenses. And as I continue to watch Texas play football, I go, yeah, I think that take might have been accurate. They I know they beat San Jose State by 1,000. They didn't start that game very well. I watched them play UTEP for a half. Maybe you could even say a full game, and went, well, that's interesting. Texas is a very curious team moving forward. I guess we'll say that. Hey, maybe though, you feel a little bit like Josh Heupel in Tennessee. What a game, by the way.
So close.
You got me quicker than that.
Facts.
You're trying to build like a champion, but you might not know how to execute it. Aaron and his team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of All-Americans. They are a juggernaut of the industry and have built a dynasty of championship builders. If you have a home, church, or business build, go with the folks with integrity right there in their name. Got a brand new website as well at elevatedintegrity.com. We appreciate Aaron and his team sponsoring the podcast for many, many years now. Rivalry also proud members of the Varsity Network from Learfield, the must-have app. If you call yourself a college football fan, the Varsity Network has live broadcasts and on-demand podcasts just like this one. You might be listening there right now. Free to download. Find the Varsity Network in the App Store and be sure to search for the Rivalry Podcast. We are also very proud partners with our friends at Homage this year. Homage, if you're not in the Columbus area, incredible merch apparel stores. That's an Homage one right there that you're wearing if you're watching on YouTube. Proudly wore my Detroit Lions one to church yesterday because that is my Sunday best. And it paid off. They paid off well.
Can you start wearing a Browns one for me, please?
The president and CEO of River Radio Ministries, who we do this podcast with, is a huge Bears fan. I did not text him yesterday because I enjoy continuing to do this podcast. But what a win for the Lions. Anyway, Homage, since 2007, has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them. Quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. And if you jump into the show notes right now on YouTube or in the podcast description, you'll see a link there. You can get yourself your own homage merch. These are seriously like the buttery soft t-shirts, most comfortable thing you'll ever own. Go ahead and click on the link, get yourself something, whether it's Lions and Tigers, not Bears, oh my, Ohio State stuff, whatever you want to go get yourself. You won't regret it. Support Homage. It'll support the podcast as well. So be sure to do that. And by the way, if you are watching on YouTube, wearing our own custom rivalry podcast merch today. We've got Ohio State, we've got Michigan designs. Favorite t-shirts we've ever made in the 7 years we've been doing this podcast. If you go to rivalpod.com, click shop, you can buy yourself a t-shirt, support the podcast that way as well. Small budget podcast. So whatever you can do, whether you want to throw $5 our way or you want to get yourself a t-shirt, it really does help. And of course, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review. That makes a big difference as well. Hey, Michigan played football this weekend.
Central Michigan did not. Can I just say, last week you asked me, is it really fun to watch a 70-0 game? Would you like to take back how much you tried to make it seem like it shouldn't be enjoyable? Because I know you were just having a blast.
I changed my mind.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal time.
That was really fun.
It's maybe one of the best Saturdays well spent.
A noon kickoff, stress-free. Former Michigan tight end Jake Butt on the color commentary. It was a great weekend because then you get that game out of the way. You have been stressed for 0 minutes and 0 seconds.
Yep.
You get to watch college football the rest of the day. At like the exact opposite of that Oklahoma nighttime kick. The exact, like, what a whiplash. Yeah. Michigan, and let me say this before we jump into it. The question I asked you last week that I think is probably what needs to be addressed this week is, can you learn I asked you this about Grambling. I would ask you this about Ohio, except we already answered it. Is, can you learn anything from this game? Can you learn anything from blowing out a MAC opponent? Can you learn anything from playing a terrible FCS team? The answer is no and yes, right? And this is the same answer I gave last week. Same answer I gave about Michigan playing New Mexico, by the way. Yes, you can learn something in the sense of a accurate ball is an accurate ball. Yes, you can learn something about good game management is good game management. Yes, you can learn that good play call sequence is good play call sequence. No, you can't learn about, hey, has Michigan fixed the offensive line? I have no idea. You know why? Because we played Central stinking Michigan. Is our wide receiver core suddenly really good? I don't know, because we played Central Michigan. Now, at the same time, I can look at it and go, oh, that's a really crisp route. Ooh, really good hands to hang on. Perfect ball placement. You can look at things like that. But am I looking at it and going, hey, does this mean that Michigan is now like an elite team in the country? No, it doesn't mean that necessarily, at least, because you played Central Michigan. So you have to know that there are strong limitations on what you can and cannot learn from this game. You also can only evaluate what you saw in this game. So let's start with the bad for Michigan. And there wasn't a lot of it. The bad, Michigan gave up 3 points.
How dare they?
I predicted a shutout.
Inexcusable.
Unacceptable. Fire everyone.
Everybody.
The other bad in this game would be Bryce Underwood throws a pick.
Almost 2.
Honestly,
I was going to say, should have been 2 if you weren't playing Central Michigan.
The opening pass, number one, I absolutely love the play call.
Yeah,
right off the bat, take a deep shot, and absolutely should have been picked. That wasn't great. The interception wasn't good. That's it. That's the extent of the list of things that I did not like in this football game. I'm not going to go stats with you, but I mean, Michigan scored. Tied for the most points that Michigan has scored in a football game since the 78-0 win over Rutgers.
They saved your program. You will treat them with the respect they deserve.
It was so fun as like Michigan just kept racking up points. I was, I'm doing the cat on the computer thing where I'm researching. That's how I type. And
we've seen.
And just, this ties to the most points since Michigan beat Northern Illinois like 63-0 in 2021, I think, probably because we had their signs. And
that checks out.
But this was, tied for the second most since that Rutgers win. And when I realized that, I went, oh, well, as the only Rutgers fan that I've ever met.
3-0 right now.
Please stop.
3-0.
Please
Big game against Iowa this weekend.
Please have some dignity.
You're looking for something Friday night around 8 o'clock. Rutgers, Iowa's on your TV.
Wasn't there a point where you put on the Scarlet Knight helmet at one point on this podcast?
There's probably been numerous times.
Please don't do it again.
Oh, if they beat Iowa and we're talking 4-0,
yikes.
Talk to your family about undefeated Rutgers.
We used to do a segment called Rutgers to the Rose Bowl, and then it just got sad. So
and then they're good. It. So maybe it was just. I'm
just
not superstitious. I am a little.
Nobody
so I'll
move.
Stop there.
Nobody say anything. Rutgers might be okay. They might not be, though. They should have gotten beat by Ohio. Anyway,
no.
My point being, Michigan scored a lot of points. That was. It's obviously a get right game for Michigan. Here's the most encouraging thing, and this falls within the limitations of what can you learn from this game. So this is the first game that Sharon is serving as a suspension. Oh no, what a punishment. Sharon was with the team all week, so I saw people go like, "This is what happens when Sharon Moore is not your coach." I'm like, my guy, he was with the team until like Saturday morning, so we're good. But here's what Biff Poggi had to say about the way.
Can you say his first name again, because I love it so much?
Someone said this is the first team to ever have a Wink and Biff on the sideline at the same time, so that was fun. But here's what Biff Poggi had to say about the way Michigan used Bryce Underwood, and this is something I think you can learn from this game. He said, "We thought at Oklahoma we would take the air out of the ball because they're an air raid offense. We're not taking the air out of the ball ever again. Not with this guy taking the snaps." Like, that is exactly the sentiment that you want to hear if you're a Michigan fan, because they played Oklahoma so ultra conservative. And I understand why they did some of that, but it was way too much. And so this sounds to me like, no, it might not be as wide open as they had against Central. But going into Nebraska, that to me, that says you're not going to see what you saw against Oklahoma, where they were afraid to run him. And, Sharon said, well, if you're going to run your quarterback, you better have two. It's like, well, what are we doing here? Try to win the game. And this looked like they came out and said, enough with that. We're here to win football games. And there were folks talking about, well, they're playing for 2027. That's ridiculous. You play for now. And this game looked like they were playing for now. So as you head into Nebraska, let's talk about what that looks like for Michigan. So I expect a lot more of the way they utilized Bryce Underwood against Central. I would expect a lot more of that against Nebraska. Maybe closer to how they used him against New Mexico, with a little bit more freedom to use his legs.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not like Michigan just threw the ball. I mean, they threw the ball very well. This was, play calling wise, a pretty balanced call of running and passing for Michigan.
Underwood still had 100. He had 100 something yards on the ground, but Haynes did too.
Michigan's play call was still very balanced in this game, as it was against New Mexico. So I would guess somewhere in between those two games is the usage that you're going to see for Bryce. Here's how I would talk about the Nebraska setup. There are a couple ways Michigan can win this game, but let's start with Nebraska. A couple ways Nebraska can win this game, because Nebraska is 3-0 right now. But what you need to know about Nebraska is that Nebraska ain't played nobody. Now, if you had asked a Michigan fan in the preseason, and we did this, we sat down and said, what games on Michigan's schedule are concerning to you? Oklahoma at Norman would have been the first one circled. At Lincoln should have been the second. Obviously, the Ohio State game. I'm kind of taking that out of it here. But I mean, Michigan plays at least three very difficult away games. Oklahoma, and it's every other week, basically. At Oklahoma, at Nebraska, at USC. You'll still have the Michigan State game, Washington coming to Ann Arbor. We have already given you my thoughts on Washington. But those three games, especially early in the season, in the first half of the season, 3 road games at 3 premier programs, very difficult. This is a massive game for Michigan. So while Nebraska ain't played nobody, Nebraska, even in the preseason, was looked at as, ooh, this is a dangerous football team. And obviously,
French top 25 team.
And obviously, the number one reason why they're dangerous is they've got Dylan Raiola, right? We talked about the Dylan Raiola factor all last year.
I thought his name was Pat Mahomes.
It's hard to tell the difference sometimes. I mean, and
he's like the picture of The Office. It's the same picture.
Corporate wants you to find the difference. It's the same picture. Now, granted, they have played Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian, which is a real school. But he's also thrown for 800 plus yards, 8 touchdowns, no picks. What can you learn from that? What can you learn from some of those games? You can learn Dylan Raiola has taken a big jump from freshman year to sophomore year.
Yep.
He's cut down the has he been perfect? No. Because no one is perfect, right? Has he been perfect? No. But he's thrown no picks. That's pretty perfect. 8 touchdowns, 800 plus yards. So that's one major easy analysis reason why Nebraska can win this game is because they've got their Bryce Underwood, if you will, a year extra into development. Now, I think Bryce is probably better at the end of the day, but Dylan Raiola is a very good quarterback. Michigan's secondary is a little concerning for me at times. There was one play in particular. I was texting my brother about it, where Central Michigan's quarterback Labus, I think they used a couple different quarterbacks in the game. He's under pressure and he just chucks the ball sky high, and Jair Hill is just toasted by his guy and comes back and ends up breaking up the play, but it's because he kind of interferes with the guy. And I'm looking at that going, okay, a better quarterback and a better receiver, that's a big chunk play right there that you just gave up. With the health of Zeke Berry kind of in question mark too, I have some concerns about Michigan's secondary against a quarterback who has been very, very good so far this year. One of the other reasons not related to Dylan Raiola that Nebraska can win this game, this defense is stingy. Now, you've played Akron, you've played Houston Christian, and you've played Cincinnati. Yeah. However, you play who you play. The defensive line might not be like Oklahoma level, but it's a solid defensive line. The secondary is very talented. This is, again, yes, who have they played? The secondary has the fewest passing yards allowed in the nation, top 10 total defense. Competition notwithstanding, that's pretty good because there are some other teams who have played very bad teams as well, and Nebraska is still sitting at the top. This was also something we knew going into this season, is that Nebraska's defense is going to be good. So there's 2 reasons for you why Nebraska can win this game. Why can Michigan win? Well, Bryce Underwood would be a big reason why here. Brendan Sorsby from Cincinnati had success with his legs against Nebraska. Bryce Underwood is probably better than Brendan Sorsby.
Jury's out, but
like that's a critical piece that Michigan finally seems willing to utilize. Nebraska's offensive line is okay. They struggle a bit in the run game, and Michigan is a pretty good running football team. So I mean, that's kind of like just an overview of like where this team sits, but I'm curious from the Ohio State side, like that's some of what I'm watching heading into this game. I'll give you my prediction here in a minute, but like, what are you looking at from the Ohio State side here?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said. I think the biggest thing for me, and you already kind of touched on it, the Nebraska offensive line, I think struggles a little bit. And I think one of the strong points for what Michigan has had to offer this year, one of the things that's helped them is, I mean, it's Central Michigan, but they were living in the backfield. They were constantly getting pressure on the quarterback, which is why he had to throw it so jank half the time.
Jayshon Barham, by the way, lining up on the edge.
And that's who I have marked down. Yeah. Guy's been a dog this season so far. And so I'm looking at that going, he's going to cause havoc. Raiola hasn't had to face that kind of pressure this year. So you can look at the competition and go, well,
You're telling me Akron wasn't having a great pass rush?
That might be what I'm hinting at. So I just don't think Raiola's had the opportunity to go against a team that really is going to be able to get into his face like the Michigan defense. I think you showed glimpses, and I even texted you this, that I think Bryce Underwood is the best Michigan quarterback outside of J.J. McCarthy. And honestly, I think I might even start to make the argument that he will be statistically better than McCarthy by the time he leaves Michigan. But I can't remember a Michigan quarterback that I've watched where I go, oh, he's really talented. You guys have had serviceable guys.
So, and some, yeah, I mean, think about a guy like Wilton Spate. Okay, Wilton Spate.
Chad Henne.
Chad Henne is pretty high up the board for me. Chad Henne, John Navarre, and then even going like some of the older, and again, different era, Elvis Gerbach, right?
Well, I'm talking about since I was alive watching college football, there has never been, even with Denard Robinson. Denard Robinson's one of those guys that at the time like was just statistically a monster. Yeah. But Bryce Underwood feels different than that even.
Yeah, JJ is probably the best quarterback Michigan's ever had.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's recency bias.
And I don't even know if like statistically JJ really blew me away, but I think just like he kind of encapsulated everything that there was for Michigan. You know, like he got the wins, he got the Natty, beat Ohio State. Like the numbers and all that is what's going to keep him glorified. I feel like Bryce really
talent wise.
Yeah, I feel like just looking at a guy like Bryce Underwood, you can see it, where you can go, okay, this is how good he is freshman year. And from an Ohio State fan, this is what you saw with Jeremiah Smith.
Sure.
Where you're looking at Jeremiah Smith and you're going, yeah, I've seen Marvin Harrison come through here. I've seen Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, I've seen all these Hall of Fame Ohio State receivers come through. And I still look to him
something
and went,
different.
That's different.
Yeah.
And I would say the same about Bryce, where I'm looking at Bryce and I'm going, he is different than any Michigan quarterback I've ever seen. Now, can he continue to develop is the biggest question. Yeah. But I look at this game, and I'm looking at these two quarterbacks, and I feel more confident in the raw talent with Bryce Underwood lining up side by side with that defense that Michigan's going to bring. And I know that crowd in Lincoln's going to be rowdy. They're going to be ready to go. It's going to be hostile to start. I just think Michigan's going to have too much. I think Justice Haynes is going to have a great day. Samaj Morgan, McCauley, I think both of them will have big days. My prediction for this, 27-17, Michigan.
I like that.
I think it actually, I feel like there's probably, because the line has moved so much
like
recently.
1.5.
It was 1.5 for Michigan, but it was like Saturday, it was 3 for Nebraska. So it's kind of 50-50 up in the air.
It's a coin flip game.
I feel like whenever it's that, you always kind of expect a slow start. I actually think Michigan jumps out to a double-digit lead early.
Man, again, your lips to God's ears, man. I like it. This game, and I shouldn't have to say this, but maybe it's helpful for rival fans or just college football fans who aren't necessarily Michigan fans listening in. I mean, this is a defining week for Michigan's season, right? Like that should.
This is the game.
It should go without saying in one sense, but we made the comparison to 2024, where Michigan gets beat by Texas pretty handily, and the way Michigan lost to Oklahoma was different. But go with me on this. A week 2 loss to an SEC team, and you felt like week 4. It had a big impact. Now in 24, it didn't end up mattering as much. Michigan, and specifically Khalil Mullings, pulls out the win against USC, and Michigan still drops off a cliff until the end of November. I don't expect that to happen in 2025. However, the point still stands, I think, that this is just a massive game for what's the trajectory of this season for Michigan. 2-2, where you've lost both the big games you've played, is just not a good sign, especially when you've got at USC and you've got Washington, you've got a rivalry game, you've got Ohio State, Northwestern is also on the schedule. I'm kidding. But it's going to tell you a lot about this team, and it will tell you a lot also about the growth, both of the players, the coordinators, the way they utilize Bryce. It will tell you a lot about where they've grown from Oklahoma to now. You get a bye week after that as well, and then you really start diving into Big Ten play. I have a lot of questions, like I mentioned, about Nebraska's ability to stop the run. They got outrushed 202-110 by Cincinnati. That's their only Power 4 game they've played. They got outrushed by 100 by Cincinnati. Like I mentioned, they had trouble with Brendan Sorsby with using his legs. If Michigan holds true to what Biff Poggi's saying, they utilize Bryce's legs in this game. I have a hard time seeing Nebraska slow down Justice Haynes, Jordan Marshall, and Bryce Underwood while still accounting for the fact that Donovan McCauley and Samaj and Marlon Klein are out there.
I think the thing that makes this game interesting is this is the first week that Sharon Moore can't be a part of the team activity.
Correct.
So last week you saw his game plan kind of be put into place against Central Michigan, but this week he can't have any hand in that.
Correct.
So I'll be curious, and I think you already even talked about it. Like, to me, you're going to see a lot of ground game from Bryce Underwood again.
I think
he's going to be forced to use his legs at times.
You have to, and again, it sounds like Sharon and Poggi and Chip Lindsey and everyone involved in that said, we cannot have what happened. Now, it doesn't mean necessarily Michigan will win the game, but they're saying we can't utilize him the way we utilized him in Norman. The Nebraska rush defense against the Michigan run game, I just think Bryce unlocks another level for Michigan. Michigan's secondary makes me a little nervy about Dylan Raiola. But both these teams I've also noticed create turnovers. Michigan's like +5, Nebraska's +4. I just think that Michigan's got a little bit more. I just think Michigan's got a little bit more. I think Jayshon Barham is an absolute dog coming off the edge. I think he can force Raiola into a mistake. I've got Michigan 27-20.
We were close.
I think this is a massive game for both these programs. Matt Rule needs this game. Not because he's on the hot seat, but Matt Rule needs
a statement victory for them.
That's exactly it, man. It's Georgia Tech beating Clemson, right? It's not like, oh, Michigan's at Clemson. It's not that. But it's that Georgia Tech needed that statement win. Mike Elko and Texas A&M needed that statement win. Matt Rule needs that statement win. He ain't going to get it. He can go on his little podcast, his little House Rules podcast.
Phenomenal name.
It is a phenomenal name.
Gotta be honest.
Less time podcasting, more time prepping for Bryce Underwood. 27-20 Michigan in this one. Hey, let's go ahead and go to a little bit of college football pick'em. We haven't done this in years past. I've really enjoyed doing this.
Yeah.
I have not given you the games ahead of time, which is not fair.
I guessed.
The first game I want you to pick is Iowa at Rutgers.
You did not mark that down.
I sure did.
Oh,
I want you to pick Iowa at Rutgers because, again, I don't think everyone realizes that you're actually a big Rutgers fan.
Oh,
also.
Yeah. Love them.
I don't want to go into it because I don't care that much. Just
what was the game that was on? There was a game this weekend. Our friend Nathan texted us.
Rutgers at Norfolk State
versus Georgia.
Was on during Georgia, Tennessee, and I know what you were watching.
Well, both of them because I'm a psycho. But the big TV got the Norfolk versus Rutgers. My laptop had the Tennessee Georgia game on, and the main TV had Rutgers Norfolk State.
That's so wrong.
It felt so right.
Just pick Iowa or Rutgers.
Rutgers, easy. I forget what it is right now, the spread or the line for that.
Nobody cares.
It's like 1.5 Iowa or something like that. I get that it's at Hawkeye Stadium. Doesn't matter.
I don't think it is.
I thought it was.
No, I think.
Is it at Rutgers? Then easy choice. Rutgers all day. Callie McManus is the number one highest graded through the first 3 weeks in all of FBS.
Please stop. I also took Rutgers in this game.
Let's go! Do you want the jersey again?
I don't want. I have worn the. What's his name? Mike Rutgers.
Mike Teal? How dare you? Come on this show and disrespect him.
I'm going to call him Mike Rutgers from now on. I took Rutgers. Yeah, I have worn the jersey in the past. Not today. I'm good.
We have video proof.
Texas Tech at Utah. This is sneaky. One of the best games of the weekend. Mm-hmm. Texas Tech at Utah.
This was the first one that I guessed you would ask. I didn't think you'd throw me a lob like Rutgers, Iowa to start. I have Texas Tech. So far this season, they've dominated every single opponent they faced. Some of that is the competition, and it's a similar story with Utah. They've both kind of done what they're supposed to do and dominated. I just have a little bit more faith in Texas Tech.
Utah scared me a little bit for this pick. I am taking Utah in this one. Utah scared me a little bit, up like 3-0 at Wyoming. Mm-hmm. And then they just put the hammer down. Devin Dampier, I think, is the difference maker. Again, you're not here for X's and O's. You're here for low hanging fruit analysis. Utah quarterback might be good. Question mark. But then if he's not, I go, well, I said maybe. That's what all the national guys do.
That's how we cover ourselves.
Well, Texas A&M. I listened to a guy this week. Texas A&M might compete in the SEC. Yeah, and they might not. And whatever happens, you're going to say you're right, my guy. Auburn and Oklahoma will obviously have a lot of attention from me just because I'm very curious what Oklahoma looks like against. And again, is Michigan better than Auburn? Probably. But again, top 25 matchup. I'm curious to see what John Mateer looks like in this one. I'm going to take the Sooners for this one because, again, I watched Michigan go to Norman. It's a tough place to play. I like a lot of what Oklahoma is doing because, again, against what I still think is a good Michigan team. Is Michigan great? I don't know yet. But against what I would think is a good Michigan team, I watched Oklahoma shoot themselves in the foot half a dozen times and still win a football game. Mm-hmm. I'll take Oklahoma.
I'm going to Oklahoma as well. I had that one marked down. I like John Mateer. I also think that defense is great. It's at home. I can't pick apart.
I'm very curious about this one. I went back and forth. I'm going to let you pick first. South Carolina at Mizzou.
I'm 3 for 3 right now.
South Carolina at Mizzou. Who you got in this one? This one may have sneaky impact in the SEC.
This one has a little bit of a question mark for me, only because I don't know Lenore Seller's health.
They are talking like he's going to play.
Okay.
Now, could that be coach speak? 100%.
Maybe.
This is Ryan Day trying to tell us that Lincoln Kienholz is in a quarterback battle, and we all bought it. Well, not all of us.
We did not buy
this
it.
This podcast didn't buy it, but the Ohio State beat bought it. South Carolina at Mizzou. Let's assume Lenore Sellers plays because that's what they're telling us.
I had this marked down, but I hadn't heard anything about Lenore Sellers, so I picked Mizzou, and I think I'm going to stay with them. I like Bo. I really like Bo. I liked him even when he was at Penn State, and I thought, man, that's a kid that you can just tell deserves a shot somewhere else. I'm glad he ended up going to Mizzou.
Yeah.
It's a home game for Mizzou. Even if Sellers plays, I'm not 100% convinced that he's...
How healthy is he?
How healthy is he? I'm going to stick with my original gut.
And especially if he doesn't play. I mean, they just got smoked by Vanderbilt.
Give me Mizzou.
I'm going to take Mizzou as well. You feel for Bo Prabula having to make that decision about the transfer portal while Penn State... Stupid. The whole... Not him, not Penn State. The transfer portal being there is stupid. Glad he's having success there. I don't particularly like Mizzou. Like I think Eli Drinkwitz or whatever his name is.
I do have a soft spot.
I have a problem with him. He's annoying as heck. But I'm going to take Mizzou in this game.
Can I guess the last one?
There's two more.
There's two more.
Yeah, man.
Oh man. Okay.
First one will be easy. Florida at Miami.
You said easy.
Yeah. This should be easy.
I know. I'm going to go Miami, and I don't like it.
It's a good pick. It's the correct pick. Miami, for as much grief as we've given Miami over the last year,
they've been tough.
Miami has looked really good. I mean, you
Beck
had
looks like the old Beck from Georgia. I mean, years prior or before his injury, really.
You had USF as your stupid genius last week, and Miami just absolutely dominated.
You talked me into it.
Yeah, Miami will. I would again. I'd love for Florida to win this game. They ain't gonna.
No.
And Billy Napier's seat is getting hot, man. It's getting hot. Number 9, Illinois.
That's the one I had.
At number 19, Indiana. A battle of two teams that I'm not sure that everybody believes in. But one of these...
But am I excited to watch it? You bet.
Yeah, man.
Can't wait. Night game?
And listen, it's Brett Bielema and Kurt Cignetti, two of the most unlikable coaches in college football. Who you got?
I got Illinois. I've said it numerous times. Indiana is a fraudulent program. They've not earned my respect whatsoever.
You hate Indiana so
Anything
much.
that is in Indiana, to be honest, because I mean Notre Dame can fit right along in that. So
is there something about being in Indiana that makes you a fraudulent program? Purdue's terrible.
I realized one thing. It was years ago. I went on a trip to Indianapolis, and I've stated numerous times, probably even to you, that I think it's the most boring city I've ever been to. And now I'm looking at this, and I'm going, man, I really just don't respect Indiana, and I don't respect Notre Dame. Maybe I have a grudge that I'm just not realizing.
To be fair, as an Ohio State fan, you haven't been to Indianapolis since COVID, so that could be some of it.
We've been enough. We've seen it.
It's been a while.
We've seen all we needed to see.
It's been a while. That is fair, though. It only takes one time. You're like, all right, well, that's Indy.
That was Indy,
cool.
I guess. Sure. I got Illinois. I don't believe in this Indiana team. They've played nobody. Last year, they were all talk of we're different because we got Kurt Cignetti and blah, blah, blah. We're going to be different. And they got smoked by every team that had a pulse. It's going to be the same deal here.
I am really torn on this football game.
I like the quarterback, but I just don't believe in the program.
I was big on Mendoza. I was big on Roman Hemby in the preseason. Illinois just looks like they've got their stuff together, man. Like, I realize Indiana has too, but Indiana also had that game against Old Dominion. That's not like that still just left a bad taste in my mouth. I'm going to go Illinois here. I'm going to go Illinois. I don't particularly care which team wins this game, to be honest with you. I'd probably rather see Indiana win, if I'm being real honest about it. I'd probably rather see Indiana win because I don't want this ridiculous narrative when Ohio State goes to Champaign. It's an undefeated Illinois team. I don't want that narrative. So I'm probably cheering for Indiana. I'm going to pick Illinois in this one. Stupid Genius, upset picks of the week. Pretty easy. It's not unlike, in a lot of ways, it's not unlike the Superdog from College Game Day. A few different tweaks. Must be a 5.5 point underdog. Our system is a little bit simpler. You get the pick right. You get however many points the spread was at time of recording. Real easy. You've still got 13.5 to nothing from that Florida State
Probably going to be a safe lead for me.
What you got today?
Usually I stick to just picking a team in the top 25 that I think is going to, but there just wasn't a matchup this week that I was really loving. So I went outside of that. Maryland over Wisconsin. Currently 8.5-point underdogs. It's on the road. It's at Camp Randall.
I don't hate that pick.
It's at Camp Randall, but I am not impressed with Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is a disaster.
And I will take ownership of this. I thought prior to the season, I don't remember what episode this year it was. I thought I think it was after week 1 where we watched Alabama lose, and I thought maybe this Wisconsin one is one to kind of look at.
No.
Then I watched Wisconsin struggle week 1 against Miami of Ohio, who Rutgers just blew the door off of recently.
Wisconsin's bad.
So I'm looking at this and I'm going, I don't think Wisconsin's that good. And then I look at Maryland, who I also don't think is that good, but I think Malik Washington is. And I look at that quarterback and I go, 8.5 seems pretty steep for these two teams.
I think that's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if Maryland won this football game. MGO Blog has a little thing where they used to say that you can't spell Badgers without bad. Yeah,
true.
It's rough. And by the way, it's not getting easier for Wisconsin because they go to Michigan in a couple weeks and they get to host Ohio State in October. So things are bad. Things are bad in Madison. We're just trying stuff today.
Oh, are we reversing roles here? Or are you going to be chaotic?
I don't usually like to pick with my heart here.
Oh, I love it.
But, number one, not a lot of upsets that I liked. I nearly took South Carolina at Mizzou. I don't trust the Lenore Sellers thing. I could see South Carolina winning if he plays. I just don't feel comfortable with it. There's a team in the MAC that's playing a Power 4 team.
Love Maction.
Give me Bowling Green. At Louisville.
Whatever you're about to say, I went and I watched.
I know you did.
I have just one quick comment.
I know.
I watched that Bowling Green offense struggle to move the ball against Lafayette.
Okay, struggle's a strong word.
They struggled to move the ball.
Okay, well.
They struggled very much to move the ball against Lafayette.
But did they win, though?
But did they feel good about it?
They just beat Liberty.
But
who's also not very good. But that's
they lost their starting quarterback to Colorado, who was also not good.
Well, you know what though? I like what Eddie George is doing here.
Okay,
Pudge the Cat is there.
Unsold.
I don't know if he's traveling to Louisville.
He will. He's got a little backpack.
Does he really?
He has one of those little.
That is awesome.
I would call them like globe backpacks.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, he has one of those that
it's not that long of a drive. Bowling Green is 23.5-point dogs in this game.
And rightfully so.
And yet, Drew Pine has outpassed Miller Moss so far this year by at least 150 yards.
Who else forgot that Miller Moss transferred to Louisville?
Yep.
I watched them play earlier this year, and I thought, that's where he ended up?
Miller Moss left USC. I knew he didn't go to Michigan, and then I just assumed he
Aren't you glad?
Graduate. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? We'd be starting Miller Moss right
100%.
now. Bowling Green at Louisville, 23.5-point dogs.
That's not going to hit. No way.
Oh, I really hope we get to run this back. We might not, though. Enjoy college football this weekend because, again, it's
great slate of games.
Is it the slate of games we had this past weekend? No, but
sneaky good ones though at the right times.
Texas Tech, Utah, Auburn, Oklahoma, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska. Ohio State against themselves. Ryan Day versus evil Ryan Day, if you will. I don't know who's going to win that one.
Better than that.
The beard dye, probably. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.